All praises, all praises, all praises to the heavenly, holy, almighty creator of infinity, eternity, the universe, and all there is. This is Revelations.Unveiled. Detroit. Hello, family. We are back together again, convening and converging in this wonderful holy congregation. We are here today, family, in our continuing understanding and review of current events of our carnal captivity here on this continent of confusion. And so, family, tonight we are discussing Brother Billy Porter once again. Brother Porter's recently had a show on, or showing on, our beloved children's educational show, Sesame Street. And he was there to, as they say, present some fierce energy to the platform, so as to, I guess, begin broadening the scene of inclusion, to wit, many of the various opponents to his lifestyle of homosexuality have put up barriers, hoping to not have this exhibition presented before our children. And so, family, to the 12 tribes of the house of Jacob, as well as the brothers and sisters of the world, my continuous petitions and prayer for your care and safety. We are now together in the Revelations.Unveiled. Detroit Den. We're going to become still and quiet as we have a conversation on the LGBT lifestyle, the bold exhibitionist spirit of Brother Porter with his flamboyant fashions and his adult attires as he is prancing about and sauntering to and fro at these various big media events, these red carpets and these galas, being a representative for that community. And so, family, depending on whichever lane or position or side you take as it pertains to the LGBT lifestyle, we are the 12 tribes. We are the children of the covenant, and in this awakening, we are coming back to the law, statutes, and commandments of our holy power. And so for this episode, we will be hearing the publication of Brother Billy Porter, who is a star on the television series Pose, as well as a singer and actor on Broadway. We will be hearing his personal testimony of his childhood and some of the things he endured that may have shaped him into the thoughts and actions that we see today. And so, this is so that we can increase our insight and understanding to the brothers and sisters of the world dealing with this particular spiritual infection or possession. And so, family, we will be in consideration of some of the statements. I was born gay, and I have my own personal feelings that gay is only something that is revealed when you began your sexual walk in the world, when you become sexual after you have become adolescent and puberty has taken hold and the natural instincts of your hormonal burgeoning burst forth, and between another consenting party you engage in that eternal spiritual act of procreation. So therein lies where these terminologies of the sexuality, homo, bi, etc., are revealed. The choice of the partner you engage in the behavior with. But this testimony is going to shed light on an alternate spirit of abuse and sodomy, to what a lot of the members of this community are actual victims of. So family, as we become still and quiet, we will hear the words of Billy Porter to get the view and insight as to what we see today. And so, be advised, there is hard and honest, colorful language. So we will be adult in our congregation. We will be critical in our hearing, and we will be judgmental of the tenets of the testimony. All praises. And we began. Viewer discretion advised. This episode contains strong adult language. Please be advised. Pose star Billy Porter reveals past sexual abuse in searing op-ed. Exclusive. Published by Out Magazine, October 31st, 2018. Disclaimer, please be advised this contains very explicit content. If that makes you uncomfortable, I suggest you move on now. Because what we're not going to do is shame the victims any longer. I have written this piece to continue with the excavation of a healing for my soul, not the reader's comfort level. You've been warned. I was having a nightmare. Usually my sweet mother would come into my bedroom, lay beside me. No words were needed, not a peep. Her mere presence was all the comfort needed till morning. So you can imagine my surprise when we moved into the new house with the new stepfather, and he laid by my side. There were no words at first, just like mommy. But then he began cuddling me, spooning me. Innocent enough, right? I was longing for a father figure. My biological father vanished when I was 1.5. He beat my mommy. He told the neighborhood that she was a witch. That's why she had a compromised gait. My mother's been handy-capable since birth. Medical malpractice. We should be millionaires, but this was America in the 40s. Black, poor, nobody cared. Still don't, but I digress. To groom me, stepdaddy introduced me to porn, starting with the softer side of it via Playboy, Playmates, then quickly escalating into the more hardcore Hustler magazine. After a time, he asked me which pictures I liked best. I like the ones with the women and the men I cooed. Trying to endear myself to him. Because you see, I had spent the previous year being evaluated by a psychologist. Every Wednesday after school, I would be carted to this white man's office where he would ask me an hour's worth of questions I didn't understand, but tried my best to answer correctly. The messaging from my religious family was that something was clearly wrong with me and I needed to be fixed. The psychologist asked me questions, squinted and took notes of my behavior. I tried to answer right. I tried to be good. And at the end of the school year, it seemed I had passed the test. He's a fine boy. You just need to get a man around the house to teach him to be more of a man. Cut to a year later with my 250-pound stepfather fellatioing in my face with his uncut Coke can girth cock. You were warned. Is that enough, y'all? Is that horrendous memory credible enough? Or is it too old to matter because I can't remember the particulars of how I got to the bottom of a face-sticking position with the adult put in charge to raise me? It was the manic memory of being suffocated by my stepfather's beer belly as he rammed, as I choked. Am I being too graphic? Is my language too offensive so you can't hear me? After 40 years of taking care of everyone else's feelings surrounding my trauma, the only person I care about is taking care of myself. Sorry, not sorry. There was pleasure, right? Right? When I would climax, I was too young to produce any sperm, so I just convulsed. I was born gay, and he knew it. He knew I would respond favorably to the sex because sex is pleasurable. Sex feels good. I guess the statute of limitations on accountability has passed because this happened circa 1977 to 1981. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I asked for it. Actually, I did ask for it. By year 3, we were making booty call dates over morning breakfast. In code, and playing footsies under the table before I skipped off to catch the bus to middle school. Fast forward to the summer between my sophomore and junior years of high school. I was performing in the shows at Kennywood Park in my hometown of Pittsburgh when the memory of the affair flooded my senses. Yeah, can you believe that shit? I call it an affair for 20 years before my therapist helped me change the language. 7-year-old boys don't have affairs with 50-year-old men. It's called sexual abuse, plain and simple. And for those of you who like to conflate being gay with sexual abuse or having a weak mother figure or any of that nonsense, let's be clear. My mother is anything but weak, and I was molested because the predator knew I was already gay. So stop it. My sister was 7 when the family came to see me perform at Kennywood Amusement Park. I saw how he looked at her as they pedaled their tandem paddle boat around the moat that encircled our performance stage. He was different with her. He loved her in a way that I envied. I never had a daddy like that. She was daddy's little girl, and it still pains me to this day that we've been left on this earth to grapple with the Jekyll and Hyde of it all. We choose to live in 2 separate realities. It's the only way for both of us to stay sane. My sister is a rock star of a human being, and I wouldn't be alive without her in my life. Period. And with that said, at the same time, I still didn't know if he was a closeted queen or an equal opportunity pedophile, but I knew I had to say something. I told my mother that day, in that moment, in between my third and fourth shows. She believed me, but stayed with him. I was testing her, I guess, to see if anybody could take care of me. Would there be any consequences for the damage he had inflicted? Would there be any reckoning? In my mother's defense, where would she go? A disabled woman who couldn't get a job with 2 mouths to feed. I told her to stay. I would save myself. What else were we going to do? I withdrew underground to my basement bedroom and locked the door, only coming up for air to go to school and dance classes until 10 p.m. nightly. Our family schedules allowed for all of us to miss each other, like ships passing in the night. A year later, everything came to a head when my mother staged a confrontation between the two of us. She got us both into the living room at around 2 o'clock in the morning, under the pretense of me breaking curfew. She knew where I was. I was hanging out at a gospel concert at church. I was at church. I called to check in, but yet and still mommy was up when I got home and yelling. She woke up dear old stepdaddy, who decided that this would be the perfect time to try and start parenting somebody. He came in hot, brandishing a belt. Oh, so you want to beat me now? Not F me? He was in his boxers, his naked belly blubbering over his tattered waistband like a hulking water balloon threatening to burst and drown me like a waterboard torture session. Crack. If you hit me, you better kill me, I hissed. What you say to me, boy? He huffed. I stood face to face, toe to toe with my abuser. I wish a motherfucker would. Tell him. What? I tensed. Immediately tuned into what my mother was doing. Tell him what you told me, she shrieked with tears of fire streaming down her cheeks. Before I could even respond, stepdaddy was vomiting the inevitable, deranged, victim-shaming denial. I didn't do anything to that boy. I didn't do anything. He didn't already have it coming to him. I told you there was something wrong with him. Something ain't right with him in the head. I can't believe this. That's a lie. It's a lie. He's lying. Lying about what? I silenced. See? You told on yourself. And just like that, it was over. I moved out a month later to go back and perform at Kennywood Park for the summer before heading off to university to study drama and Conflama at Carnegie Mellon University. Even though my college was only a mere 15 minutes drive from my childhood home, I never went back. In 1989, the spring of my sophomore year, stepdaddy had a mild heart attack. My mom begged me to be a Christian and go to the hospital to maybe have a reapproachment. I begrudgingly decided it was the right thing to do, so I went to visit him on my lunch break from school. I literally had not laid eyes on the man in over a year and some change. His demeanor was different. He seemed pensive, remorseful even. He told me he was proud of me. He told me not to let anyone change who I am. What the hell? I left the hospital dazed and confused, yet hopeful. I guess. And less than 24 hours later, he was dead. I don't have nightmares much anymore, really. But I'm haunted. Not a day goes by that I don't think about it. Every choice, every decision, every relationship, every effing breath I take. Then he died. The motherfucker died before I had a chance for resolve. No closure. No healing. I hate him for that. I hate him for robbing me. My childhood. My innocence. He dumped his shit on me and disappeared. Now it's my shit. Our shit. And we have to live with it. Pay the sins of the father. The hate consumes me with a power that paralyzes. I'm better sometimes. I have really great days. I have really bad ones. Trying to sort some things out. Pleasure turned to shame, turned to rage. I understand now how people lose their minds. I understand the addict who needs a fix because he just wants the pain to go away or to subside at the very least. And just when I think it's over, the pain, that fury, every time I feel like I made progress, forgiving myself, forgiving him, forgiving the world, the universe, or whatever, the shit comes back, morphing into yet another terrifying monster, coming for me bigger and stronger than the time before, laughing at me, just laughing. So it's not surprising that this whole Me Too Time's Up situation has triggered all sorts of monsters in my psyche with the force of 1,000 aftershocks. And while there's been some movement in the right direction in our culture, now on occasion it's, we believe you, and yet no consequences. The same old narrative continues to be the status quo. We've been forced to endure yet another public victim of these violent atrocities, be shamed, mocked, laughed at, disbelieved, and discredited, while the monsters receive saintly status and are elevated to the highest court in the land with the power to legislate our lives as they see fit. No accountability, no consequences. Time's up, bitches. Time's up. Don't get it twisted, people. Brett Kavanaugh is a sexual predator, a liar, a drunk, and everybody knows it. His guilt is evident by his lies and self-righteous display of entitlement at those disturbing farcical hearings. Yes, we've seen the clown car reveal of Harvey Weinstein and Matt Lauer and Roger Ailes and Bill Cosby and the like go down in flaming balls of fire, and that is progress. But this Supreme Court sideshow is different. To believe Dr. Ford and actually do the right thing about it would be to relinquish white power. White privilege hangs in the balance, and the only way to hold on to whiteness, or at least slow down progress and equality, is to stack the courts with white supremacist allies. And to make no mistake, while we were being distracted by the unprecedented clown games of this administration, white men are terrified. And when white men get scared, well, y'all know. We've seen this before. It was called Reconstruction, the Jim Crow soul, the 13th Amendment. Remember that shit? Or are we going to continue to have selective amnesia? I read somewhere a while back that when privilege is all you know, equality feels like oppression. Now, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I'm done explaining myself to folk who don't want to listen. I'm done with teaching moments with folks who don't want to learn nothing. I used to believe in when they go low, we go high. I want to believe we still can take the high road, and I will continue to do so with all my heart. But it's time to redefine what's going high mean. My grandmother used to always say two things. Always lead with love, but sometimes tough love is required. Some situations in life require a little cussing. So fuck this shit. I ain't scared. I ain't terrified. I'm pissed. I'm enraged, and you should be too. We're on the precipice of a modern civil war, so it's time to start talking and snacking on a bag of popcorn to a gunfight. We have to stop infighting each other and band together to save our democracy and Earth's humanity. Period. The end. Because I know when the shit hits the fans, they're coming for my black ass. My loud, faggoty, black ass first. So I'm going to stand on the shoulders of all those who came before us, the folk who laid down their lives for the rights we seem to be carelessly squandering, and keep screaming and fighting till my dying day. Who's going to join me? Pull it together, people. It's time to save the world. Vote, bitches, while we still can. It's the only power we have. The end. So, family, what we have been evidence to is the personal testimony of Billy Porter, the actor, the singer, the many award-winning personality who has sparked a lot of conversation and debate as of late with his dress and attire and wear at these galas and red carpet functions and these media events, as well as him getting a recent invitation to star on the beloved kids educational platform of Sesame Street. And so, family, we as the 12 tribes, continuing to come into the awakening, continuing to reach back and apply the holy laws, statutes, and commandments and ordinances of our holy power as we wrestle against the flesh in this carnal container. We receive a testimony from this brother who gives us insight as to some of the demonic spirits that possess our brothers and sisters of the nation. We see the precipitation, the initiation of this spirit from adults dealing in darkness and wickedness and putting this spirit of fornication and confusion and reprobateness upon their fellow man, the children, the babies. And I must interject a disagreement to Brother Porter's statement that he was born gay. There is no born gay. Gay is a terminology of a sexual orientation. A sexual orientation can only be determined during a sexual encounter, and in the righteous form is between two consenting parties. In the traditional and godly sense, that is a male and a female. Gay is when a man has inordinate or intimate affections for another man that is out of the order of the Most High. Man shall not lie with mankind as he does with womankind. It is an abomination under the penalty of physical and spiritual death. So through our majestic Messiah, we submit ourselves humbly to repentance, the turning away of our acts of wickedness. And in this episode, it would be homosexuality, transvestitism, transgenderism, whatever of the various labels of the alphabet community. We turn away from that abomination and we begin to walk in the truth and the way in the light of the law, statutes, and commandments, and the faith of the Holy King Messiah. Our brothers and sisters are not born gay, as evidenced by this testimony. He was preyed upon with the spirit of destruction for the pleasure of some demon of darkness called stepdaddy. And so, knowing the deed by which he communicated this evil to this young boy who needed masculine representation and role modelship and structure, he took advantage of the mother and the son for his own pleasures, and thus turned that boy out and into a ball of confusion, to wit we are now just evidencing and witnessing. So, as we all battle with our personal demons, our personal spiritual possessions, as we put forth our testimony, as did this brother did in his courage and his truth, he offered insight for careful, critical consideration. And so as we learn the ways of the law and we put forth righteous judgment to our brothers and sisters for the spiritual correction, we now give it more filter with some of the understanding of those forces unseen that continue to battle against us on the daily plane of this earthly realm. We shall continue with these reviews. We shall continue to open up our spiritual visions and ears so that we can have this understanding of our brothers and sisters as we deal with these various sins, these various idolatries, these various wickednesses that keep us from gaining the true blessing and the Holy Spirit of our Holy Power Creator. So, there is no condemnation for Brother Porter. I salute his courage in publishing this testimony, his truth, and it will give me an alternate framing as I come into contact with fellow brothers and sisters dealing with this spirit. So, my understanding has been increased. We shall continue, brothers and sisters of the 12 tribes and the brothers and sisters of the world, until we are together again. I love you. I love you. I love you. This is our continuing spiritual examination of our carnal existence. This is Revelations.Unveiled. Detroit.